Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 220 with Kelley. How are you and what have you been reading? I read Fierce Attachments by Vivian Gornick, an iconic memoir often used in class, and her memoir writing book is also an important text, and I really enjoyed it. And I was saying that sorry, we're trying to do this, that it's interesting to me when I'm reading books, or even mostly when I'm reading books, sometimes when I'm watching movies and television shows, I'll think about the age of the characters and if it relates to the age of anybody in my life, because I feel like it helps me like to have historical context of what they've lived through and what like technology they lived with. And so I thought about that a lot with this too, because things have changed so rapidly over the past century. Vivian is older than my mom, but and younger than my dad. So it gave me some like I think that gives it another layer of depth when I think about things in relationship to people that are in my life. And it gives me a deeper understanding of what they lived through. So Kelley, we're trying. I've invited you. You've asked. I don't know why it's not working. It says you're unable to join. So, um, we'll try a little more because we have friends here, and it would be nice for us to be able to do this. It worked.
Oh, sorry. I didn't, my phone didn't have permission to use my camera. That was the
That's what it
issue.
was. Yeah. I figured there was some like something like that. So we figured it out. So
You
yay,
figured
here
it
you
out.
are.
Thank you.
I thought maybe all you had to do was walk away and then it started working. It's
Exactly.
like, oh, you're not here. Well, hello, Kelley. It's nice to see you in a different context. So Kelley and I know each other from Zoom co-writing, though I have not been there in a while. Are you still going?
I am still going regularly, yes.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
get a lot
Um,
out of it.
I have found that I have to just squeeze it in where I can, and oftentimes it is not on any kind of schedule that is predetermined. So I sort of miss those days of regular
You,
writing time.
well, have you been busy promoting your book?
I mean, I just, well, that's lovely. I should, The Loss of a Lifetime, the sibling loss anthology. We've been busy with that and just life, uh, which I think most of us, it just feels pretty
Yeah.
chaotic right now. I know, especially here in the United States, but I think even my friends abroad feel overwhelmed
Oh
just with the
yeah,
state.
we are getting the ripples for
Yeah,
sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
I wish we weren't having any of it. And I try not to get in that loop of like, oh, what if we'd had any of the people I voted
Yeah.
for? Would have been lovely. So hopefully someday soon. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so would you like to share anything before you read your poem, your beautiful poem?
Just that I'm a little bit nervous, and
Sure.
this was an amazing experience. I
Oh,
think
good.
everybody should write one of these.
I think I do. I love it. I mean, it's such a the prompt is available online. You can just Google where I'm from, or you can go to George Orwell's website. And it's it's such a I think it's fun, or it's at least thought provoking. I think for me it was probably more thought provoking than fun, but
Yeah, it
that's
was
also fun
very,
for me.
very thought-provoking, and
Yeah.
also I really realized that I picked a certain point in time, and it would be interesting to change that point in time and do it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I write one every year on my birthday, and which is coming up next month. And I try to do that. And sort of a different, I tried last year to make it more happy because they had mostly been sad, or sadder. And I think this year maybe I'll go older because sometimes people do, they get all the way to now
Yeah.
in their poems.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So, okay. Exciting.
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I am from leather lace-up ski boots, from Campbell's cream of mushroom soup and optimistic Merimekko wallpaper. I am from mid-century modern, striving, immaculate, and so exposed I raced down the slippery spiral staircase past the single-pane windows when it was dark. I am from the buoyant bottle green Salish Sea whose spicy decay lulls my anxious soul. From atop coastal glaciers where my expansive lungs quell my racing heart. I'm from political conversation and recalcitrant, frizzy hair. From Judi with her big career and a revolving door of nannies who never seemed to like me much. I'm from Grandpa Harry with the Buddha belly to rub for luck. I'm from hyper competitiveness and generosity. From you can be anything you want and be careful. I'm from Holocaust sapped our faith Jews who send you to labor Zionist summer camp for culture's sake and just in case. I'm from somewhere along the fickle freezing borders between Russia and Poland, and from Titameg Whitefish Babel, who was the swampy Cree country wife of a Manitoba fur trader. I'm from baked rice pudding and from jubjubes bequeathed in white plastic yogurt containers. Save the licorice ones for last. From Blackie the Wonder Dog, a loyal companion to lonely David, except on the days after the clocks changed. The grandmother who gave with a warm hand and hid a photo of half-naked Doukhobor freedom fighters in her antique dining hutch. A century of snapshots, plucked from albums and tossed into a koa wood bowl, loiter on the cottage coffee table. How long is a legacy?
That was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you. What a great question to end with.
Yeah, it's something I've thought a lot about as my mom is kind of cleaning out her house after the death of my dad, and I have a lot of my grandmother's photos, including that one of the
Hmm.
half naked Doukhobors.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm thinking a lot about how none of this is going to mean anything to my kids, let alone their kids. And
Yeah.
so, they say in the Jewish religion, is probably in other religions, but in Jewish religion you say Kaddish every year on the anniversary of someone's death if you're a mourner, which means
Hmm.
you're a parent, a sibling, or a child. B- But they say you die at two deaths, like you die the first death when you actually die, and the second death when there's no one left to say your name. And I think about that. Your legacy isn't very long. You need to really try to make an impact, within 3 generations, probably.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there are a lot of traditions that talk about that, that there are the two deaths because and we do keep our loved ones alive by saying their name, and that's a conversation we've had a lot around the sibling loss anthology, and and how many of us didn't say their names because it made other people uncomfortable, it made us emotional, and how now many more of us do and are comfortable saying it. But it's an interesting, to me, it's an interesting thing, grief, um,
Yeah.
and how we carry it and sometimes hide it for our own self-preservation and often for others' comfort. Um,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
and
And we need to stop doing that.
yeah, yeah, yes, it's helpful too in finding people that can meet you with it, and knowing these people are your people because they can handle it. So
Yeah, and I think we all have grief, and not
we
just
do.
for loss of someone we love, but for all kinds of things. And so I think, this whole sort of movement towards more vulnerability, I think grief just opens up space for everybody to share their own grief, right?
Yes. And I think we're living with so much of it right now still from the pandemic,
Yeah.
and what's happening, and just all the information we all carry that we didn't use. I mean, we know so much what's happening, and sometimes I get paralyzed by the grief I feel, by what people are having to live through.
Yeah.
Um, so um, but I think a legacy. It made me think your question because I thought, well, how long is a legacy? And I, I feel my ancestors, even if I don't know their names or I don't have pictures of them. I do feel certain things, and that certain things bring me comfort, and I don't even really know why.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
just like a familiarity of
Yeah.
it.
I had a very interesting experience recently. We have new neighbors next door, a young couple, and the husband was over and we were talking, and we just by this conversation, we were talking about baby names, and I mentioned a family last name that my kids would like to use as a baby name. And he said, "Wait a minute, I think I have that last name in my
Mm.
family." And we found out that our great grandparents were brothers
Oh my goodness.
from like the shtetl in Poland,
Wow.
and we're living in Vancouver side by side. And so those kinds of things. So
Mhm.
then that made me go, you know, touring back through. Someone
Mhm.
had produced a book and a family tree, and I found us and found our great great grandmother, who was 13 when she had her first child
Yeah.
and had 9 children over the span of 27 years.
Yeah.
So that made me think a lot about that's not that far
No.
away. And so yes, I agree with you. The legacy is longer when those kinds of things trigger those thoughts for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just there's different levels, I guess,
Yeah.
of legacy. And but I thought it was a really thought-provoking way to end your poem. And so listening to your poem, I felt like your life sounded really glamorous and and on the outside. Like I felt this sort of Mad Men, I mean, it's not quite right, but this sort of like having it all, looking great, doing whatever, but that living with that reality is much far more complex, which in general I find to be the case. Um, does that ring true? Was it like that, like
That
beautiful on the outside?
I actually feel quite proud of my poem if you got that out of it, because I
I
think
did.
that's exactly what my life was.
Mm.
And it did feel kind of that 60s,
Yeah.
70s glamour.
Hmm.
And underneath it all, I was pretty lonely and yeah, felt I just I didn't feel like I belonged, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's hard for children to slot into that picture perfect. I mean, because children aren't, by their very nature, what makes them so magical is that they aren't like that.
And
Um,
I also think that generation of parents, like they were having their little martini parties and whatever they were having, and they were not paying attention
no.
to us. And I was like a total free range kid because both my parents worked and I had a nanny and I just did my own thing. So,
I thought that was
yeah.
interesting too about having a series of nannies who you felt like didn't like you very much because you're kind of in the way. It's literally their job, but you're actually sort of in the way. And
I think my nanny's job was to keep my mother's house clean.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was definitely in the way of that.
Yes, you for sure. My dad ended up dating one of my child care providers. She wasn't exactly a nanny, but yeah. And that was sort of she was my friend and then she was my dad's girlfriend and it was so disorienting. It's like, wait a minute, I don't how am I again like a problem?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um yeah, it was a we my husband and I were actually just joking about Mad Men and I was talking about scenes that had stuck with me and one of them was when they have the dry cleaning and they're playing with the plastic from the dry cleaning and she's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and play with that." Drinking her martini. Um which I'm a little younger than that, but just that kind of there just wasn't awareness.
No. No, it was a lot of, I think, especially, and I'll say for my mom, like, she was a total glass ceiling breaker with a big career,
Yeah.
and that was the focus.
Yeah.
Um, and that was all immersive,
Yes.
to be able to succeed in that world at that time, I
Yes.
think took a lot of energy. And I think I think I don't want to speak for her because she's a great mom, but I think we were kind of in the way of like she hated being a stay-at-home mom and she felt like that was foisted upon her. She had been a teacher and as soon as
I
she got
mean,
pregnant,
it
she wasn't
was
allowed to work. Yeah.
it was foisted upon
Yeah.
her.
So
Yeah.
there was probably a little bit of resentment,
Sure.
right? And then when
Yeah.
she got her big break, she wasn't gonna let go.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and there were no conversations about men providing care.
No. I mean, I think that my father actually was quite a Renaissance man in the fact that he supported her career,
Yeah,
but he supported it as long as he didn't have to make any accommodations
right.
at home,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was like almost the most that anyone could have at that
yeah,
time. And it's so obviously terrifying watching people want to return to that kind of living, and openly talking about it, like, and then also commodifying and glamorizing it, like the whole kind of trad wife thing.
yeah. I agree with that, but I also think it's kind of sad how the the caregiver skill is devalued. I
Oh, for
mean,
sure.
maybe it was devalued then, I don't know, but I feel like raising my own kids, it felt like, there was this sort of stay-at-home mom versus the working mom, and I was kind of hybrid. I worked kind of part-time, and I felt caught in between that. And I think, all choices are valid.
Oh, for sure.
And
I absolutely agree. And I was a caregiver and tried to not engage in that in general. And not because I was like a room parent. I mean, I did all of that kind of
right,
stuff, and I tried to reach out to those parents and include them, and also not guilt them or feel resentment. Like, we're all doing the best that we can. I don't feel it's like an
exactly.
us versus them. I Most people are doing their best. The thing I resent and have anger about is people who are making people feel less for just existing. And I feel like those movements are coming from that place. I don't think they're actually centered in care at all. I think,
Well, the whole trad wife thing is so
yeah,
bizarre because they're actually
it's,
career women
yes,
and
right,
they're making all
right,
this, like you said, commodifying it.
yeah,
It's so ironic that,
yeah. They're
anyway,
not centering
yeah.
care. Like, I wish that we would. I was just talking with my friend about this last night, who cares for her mother. And sometimes I think as caregivers, people say like, "Oh, what do you do?" Well, I do this. This is a thing. This is like a whole life. Um, but we don't feel that it is.
No,
Um,
no. And it's a hard life too.
it
Yeah.
is. I mean, I think in a lot of ways because of the invisibility of it. Um, and but there's also a lot of joy and wonder that I am very grateful for. But yeah, because you're writing about this, aren't you, in some
I'm
way?
I'm writing about assisted dying.
Yeah,
I'm writing about grief. I'm
yeah.
totally immersed in death and dying. I volunteer in palliative care, and yeah, so I'm thinking a lot about life and what it means, and legacy, and death and suffering, and yeah, I'm thinking a lot about all of those issues. And also, the thing that comes hand in hand with assisted dying is this real opportunity to mitigate regrets, because
Mm,
when you know exactly when someone's going to die, it creates this urgency that helps you get over your stuff and say all the things in a way that I think a natural death doesn't necessarily do, even if it's a long death and the
hmm.
person's in palliative care. So I'm thinking a lot about that too. About
That's interesting. So you do find that because I mean, I will be honest, my father died a long death, and I thought, oh, maybe we'll have a conversation. No,
right,
it's
right,
never any kind of, and then I had to sort of make peace with that, right? Like in
right.
myself, like, okay,
Yes,
this isn't forthcoming, and I need to grieve that, not
right.
only the loss of the person, but the loss of the potential for a relationship.
So I had the same experience. I
Mm,
had hoped my dad was going to have the conversation, and I realized it's not going to come.
yeah.
But because I had that really urgent countdown, I had the conversation anyway. I said
Mhm.
my side of it.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
did that a bunch.
oh, you did? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I
I
and I think I was able to make peace with the fact that I knew he wasn't able to do
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
take the small things that I could from him that indicated
Hmm.
what I hoped he would have the bigger thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've heard that poem "Not Bad Dad."
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's a wonderful poem.
Hmm.
I think I have it. Anyway, it's basically like I realized you were swimming as fast as you could.
Hmm.
And that's kind of my process with going through that assisted death, was
Hmm.
realizing
Hmm.
he was swimming as fast as he could. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that you're doing this work. I think we all benefit. And I have to remind myself of that, like that we all benefit from the work that we're all doing, because I often feel insignificant and what am I doing and what's the point? But I know that the work you're doing is important. So then that means that what I'm doing, you know what do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, and we're doing similar work in
Yeah.
many ways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's much easier for me to go,
Yeah.
great job, Kelley.
Absolutely. And the same, but
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I find people are so eager to tell
Yeah.
their stories. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same with sibling loss. Like
Yeah.
we need to tell stories to process what we've experienced. And it's, I found when I was a new mom, everyone wanted to share their birth stories.
Yes.
And now that I'm an aging person with aging parents, everybody wants to share the stories of their parents' deaths.
Mhm.
And I'm sure it's the same with sibling loss. Like this is how we make sense of
Mhm.
what we done, and also find commonalities that make us
Mhm.
feel validated and normal.
Yeah, I was just chatting with a friend saying that because she was talking about something a lot and she apologized. Like, I know I'm talking about this a lot and but I'm just like unpacking it. And I said, I think for me, one of the greatest challenges and joys in my life is finding people who I can unpack things with that are heavy on my heart. And yeah, I didn't have that much when I was younger, so I was just giving it to everyone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's been so healing for me and validating to find people that I'm in a relationship with that we have this relationship and we can share these things. And I'm not just, out there, can you hold this? Can you? Because it's not great for anyone when that's happening.
Yeah.
But I was doing it for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I think the the most valuable experience I've had with writing this book is hearing other people's stories and
Yeah,
having the privilege that they share with such raw vulnerability
yeah,
what they went through. It feels, it's almost, it's almost paralyzing because I feel such responsibility to honor their stories.
yeah,
So, but it
yeah.
does feel like such a privilege as well.
Yeah, I think it is important to take care of ourselves in this too, as
Yeah.
well. Like, because I understand what you're saying. And in that way, that is the reason we published the book the way we did, because Lynn and I felt such responsibility for the stories that siblings shared with us. And it's like, we can't wait years to publish. Like, this just needs to be in the world. And that was a huge reason why we did it, how we did it. And we checked with all of them and they all felt the same way. Like, please
Yeah.
just
It's the
publish it.
book they needed, right?
Yeah, it just needs to be there for people who need it. And it is kind of amazing how people find it or find you or, because you think, oh my God, this world is vast. There's so many people and so many. But when you are hurting, especially I think acute grief,
Yeah.
you really just are desperate.
Searching. You're
Yeah,
searching.
yeah, yeah. So well, anything else before we close, Kelly? I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity to connect.
I think the only thing I would say is I would encourage everybody to write one of these. Like I was talking to my husband, who's not a writer in any stretch of the imagination, and when I read it, he said, "Yeah, I want to write one." It
Mm.
makes you think so deeply about your childhood and with a lot of fondness, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
and the sifting through and picking what you're going to focus on it's kind of a magical experience.
Yeah.
It's fun and heavy and it's all the things. It's all the ands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree. And if anybody wants to share it with me here, you can just DM me because everyone is welcome. So, thank you so much, Kelly. I really enjoyed
Thanks for
this.
the opportunity, Allison.
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.